Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot, and a big welcome to those of you who are joining us for the first time. So, today we're going to look into how your person is feeling about you and about your situation. We've seen a lot about what's happening with them. We know they are embarking upon kind of a tower moment right now, a lot happening with them emotionally that they are having varying levels of responses to. It's been we've been hearing about these shifts and changes with them throughout pretty much that whole eclipse cycle that we just closed out. So we're going to take a look and see. Heard a lot about this third party, heard a lot about what's going on with them, found that there was a soulmate coming your direction. But one of the things we haven't looked at very much lately here is how they're feeling about the situation with you and kind of how that's going. So that's what we're going to look at in today's reading and just kind of see what you need to know about their emotional situation, specifically as it relates to you and not just the energy that's all around, which is usually what we look at. So it'll be a general reading as usual for this collective. So it's not going to resonate with everybody, shouldn't resonate with everyone. But if it does resonate with you, then you should probably take a look at some of the other messages that have come out and maybe see if some of those could also resonate as well, because all of these readings are very much connected. So I think I'm going to use this as my main deck here. This will be my supporting deck. And we are going to start by looking at the energy between the two of you. So this is the energy between you, and then we're going to look at how they're feeling. Right away, we've got something coming out. We've got the Five of Pentacles, but in the reverse. So they're feeling like not only has there been a lot of healing, but you have been, they're associating you with it. We also have the Queen of Swords, quick changes, rash decisions, people making decisions that have lasting implications. So this is like when they pick up the phone and text you and it has a significant implication. Some of this has happened with a few of you lately. The vibe here is that they make a quick decision to reach out and contact you, but it doesn't go exactly the way that they plan. So they fail to say the thing that they're going to say, or they don't say it very well, or something happens here that it doesn't quite come out right. We've been seeing that in some of the readings. So here with the Ten of Cups, it gets perceived as, with the Ten of Cups in the reverse, it gets perceived as them bungling this a little bit. And whereas they do bungle it, I think maybe what's more important about this is the healing that they've actually undergone that has allowed them to get to the point where they can bungle it. So it's kind of, it's probably something that's going to take a little bit of time for you to really feel that way about it. But just know there has been some healing on their part, and it's around the area of the big three with the fear of rejection and abandonment and betrayal. Somewhere in there, that fear of the big three, they've, I'm not going to say it's subsided. I mean, it's still there. Otherwise, you'd see a much more vulnerable version of them. But things have really changed. And yet they bungle this or manage to not communicate in a way that feels awkward and maybe leaves you feeling even a little bit more frustrated than usual about the way they communicate or their lack thereof. So that's kind of what's in this energy. It's very consistent with what we've heard in the past. The images are pretty similar, but I don't know how long it lasts. You've got the Ten of Coins. We know there's a significant change happening in their environment somewhere. Again, this energy feels very slanted toward them. So this is energy between you. I feel like it's energy that's impacting you, but not necessarily energy that is all happening to you. So some of this feels like the energy around them, but it's impacting both of you, or it's impacting the relationship between the two of you. So that's really what we want to understand the things that are, for the most part, and a lot of them have to do with your person. So there is some change happening possibly in your environment as well. So this includes home and work, other places that you find yourself, but it feels like it's pretty strong around the reason that it's impacting you is coming from whatever's changing in their lives. And then you've got the Page of Swords. So the Page of Swords is feels like actual children. So we don't often have the pages come out. This is communication with a child. That's what it feels like. It's a conversation with a child or communication with a child. This could have many meanings. It could even be an adult child, but somebody who has the place of child in this relationship somehow. There is a communication that happens with this person that starts to open a door, I think. There's some fear around it, a fear around not being able to manage what's on the other side of the door. I kind of feel like, so it's like I'm not ready to walk through it with that same, undertext, the subtext that there's you, yes you are, I mean, that keeps coming out, that feeling, and it comes out often with the Empress card. Again, this is not always what the Empress card looks like to me. Sometimes it looks unprepared. Sometimes it looks like I'm not ready. Sometimes it looks like underdeveloped. Sometimes it looks like, feminine energy that's out of balance. And in this case, it's really a perception of not being ready, but in fact, being much more ready. They wouldn't have put themselves in this position if it wasn't for the fact that they were more ready. And it's because they feel like something needs to be brought into balance and something's not done yet. Something hasn't been completed. Lack of investment. That's feels more like it'll come back out if it needs to, but right now it feels more like just kind of an added message. But there's a lack of investment. Let's see what this is. Everything that fell out face down, so we won't use that. It's a complicated energy, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily an altogether bad energy. Just complicated. It may be difficult to navigate. I feel like there's a growing ability for them to navigate. And as I say that, I see that self-worth come out, which is at the root of that ability to navigate it. Because without this, it's really tough to, without having that level of self-worth that has come from not just the work that they've done, but also the energy that we're in. So we've seen how this energy can translate into something over the past few days. We've seen how this energy with this moon and this eclipse can translate into something where they feel pretty confident about things, all things considered. It's not what they might ultimately consider to be super confident, but it's more confident than they have felt lately. So it really ends up kind of sticking out from that standpoint. But we got that Queen of Swords energy again, that ability to make rash decisions and almost a tendency to do so. I would be careful with this because I feel like there's a tendency for things to get under pressure, start to kind of boil over, and then all of a sudden there's anxiety that comes out as a result. So I'm not sure that this is entirely, I'm not going to say unstable energy, except in the fact that it won't stay the way that it is. It's a little bit of a wavering sort of energy, but there is also an ability to make very quick decisions, which is how this person ends up coming in and having a quick communication with you in some cases. It's just, they pick up the phone and just do it. They just pick up the phone and do it after all kinds of time of saying, I'm not going to do this. That's not the direction I'm going to go. I've been quiet this long, so why break the streak now? That sort of thing. And all of a sudden they just kind of find themselves picking up the phone and sending a note. So there's the Eight of Coins here in the reverse, talking about the downfall of, they no longer feel like they are, they no longer feel like they have that emotional self-mastery that they do kind of coming into the weekend. They felt like a little bit more self-assured about certain things, where it's starting to kind of break down, and it's dissipating with that energy from the eclipse and the full moon, because it was partially made of that, but not entirely. There's a lot of change that has happened here as a result of the healing that they've done, but they still haven't quite found their balance, and we see that here with this Temperance card. There's still a tendency for them to have to try real hard to make it feel like they're even approaching balance, and that's frustrating. It's actually that way for a lot of people. It's hard to keep things in balance without constantly feeling like you're making adjustments. And they seem to feel like everyone else is having a better time with it than they are, which is probably more of just a misconception, because everyone is fighting something. Everyone is working through something. Everyone is doing their best with a situation in some way, shape, or form. And it's not always easy to see. But here's someone who is having a hard time in some cases with good empathy. It's not that they don't have empathy, because in some cases they have the sort of empathy that comes from a difficult childhood, but they, for whatever reason, it has a little bit of a blind spot, and they think everyone's got an easier time of it than they do. So it's that kind of a lack of empathy. This self-worth that I see kind of bolstering up is going to start at that, and plus they're going to be a natural. They're already going to be a natural with moving through some of this, some of this mental process that needs to happen to bring them this balance. They feel like they're not ready yet. They kind of get thrust into something that will show them that they're more ready than they think. So there's something very positive that's about to happen here. I feel like it's relative to that tower that we've seen coming out for them, but we also know that's a process. It's going to take a little bit of time. So let's look into how they're feeling about you. I feel like this is interesting. It feels like it's culminating in something that's probably a different type of communication. So they're in denial of the truth right now. That's that pressure building that I saw over here with the Five of Wands. Feeling of things like the pressure building until it boils over, and then you've got kind of an explosive situation. And I feel that a little bit here with the Ace of Swords in the reverse. The Ace of Swords is also giving us that impression that they've got that they're ignoring the truth, that they're hiding the truth from themselves a little bit here. We also have the Lovers card that's coming out in the reverse, which is them feeling like they don't really have a choice about something with regard to the bond between the two of you. So it's regarding the bond, not necessarily the relationship, but the bond. They understand they have a fair amount of an ability to control the relationship, but they don't feel like they have much control over the bond, and that still brings them a fair amount of anxiety. It just bothers them that they can't walk away cleanly. They're not able to walk away without thinking about you, and so they do a weird thing and they turn around and walk through the door emotionally. And in many cases it results in this super quick, I pick up the phone and make a communication, which we've seen a lot of them being drawn to bring you communication and to start breaking the silence or to change the nature of things and make it more meaningful between you, but that's something that we've seen really an upsurge, and there was a more of a tendency for them to be pressured into reaching out to you toward the end of this eclipse cycle. That feeling isn't completely gone. Some of it is starting to dissipate, but what it's leaving in its wake is still this need to solve something and a realization that they're hiding the truth from themselves here, but they're aware they're doing it. That's one of the things that when I when I first pulled that card out, I was like, oh, how do I describe this? Because it's like they're hiding it, but they know they're hiding it. They're being willfully, I won't say willfully ignorant, because they completely know. They are being, they're being, they're allowing themselves not to look at it head on. I guess I would say that. They're allowing themselves to kind of bend the rules for themselves a little bit. So we have the Magician card. That's actually what allows them to bend the rules for themselves a little bit. And then we have Five Swords. It's communication, but it's this feeling of anxiety in the communication. And with the Six of Swords in the reverse, it's a feeling of honestly not being able to get things to slow down enough to even be able to make a decision about how things ought to go. Sorry, I have a dog who can't decide if they want to be in this room or not. She does. I'm going to go close the door for her. Sorry for the hold up. And we had some cards that fell. Okay, so back to what I was saying. We've got communication, but with anxiety in it. We've got a feeling that they can't quite get the energy to calm down. And then we've also got this sense that they're finally in the driver's seat. So it's an interesting sense of the energy. And remember, this is what's flowing in them toward you. So they feel like they're in the driver's seat, but they can't get the energy to slow down enough. It's like they're trying to line themselves up to do something or say something, but the energy keeps not lining up. And yet there's an anxiety in this communication that reminds me a little bit of like, I have to make this communication. It almost feels a little bit like that. They're also avoiding some sort of judgment by somebody that they trust. And so there's something about advice that's coming to them, but they're not taking it for some reason. And they're going into their dreams and their fantasies a little bit with this Lover's energy. This is not usually what's coming off the Lover's card. Oftentimes it's about a choice. It's about the bond. It's about a partnership in that bond. But here it's got a little bit different of a feel to it. This is them going off into, let me dream about how I would like for this to go. Meanwhile, they're actively not looking at something, not just about the situation with you, but also about advice that they're getting. Let's see. And then we also have the star. So they have to move this direction that you are. They have to move that direction, which I think that's very significant. Because really, it has them, moving towards something that is a destiny, something that has to happen. We see something about the balancing of masculine energies right here, but also a sense of needing to remain connected with that, that they need to remain connected with their higher selves in order to have this remain a balanced masculine energy. So you are kind of a destination, a destiny for them, but they have so much to work through as they get to it, and they've already started to associate you with some of that work. We see that over here. It's beneficial that they've started doing the work, but there's also quite a bit maybe left to do, and maybe enough that it makes it super challenging for them even to communicate with you in a productive way right now, which you've seen. And there's that. This has a lot to do with it too. So we see the Ten of Swords, and what we see the Ten of Swords having, it has a lot to do with, and we saw it yesterday. It has a lot to do with the issues that have happened. It gets referred to in these readings in my mind sometimes as ancient pain. And the thing is, it's ancient pain on their side. It came before you, but it's not necessarily it's real ancient. I mean, in some cases, it's beginning of their lives or something that their ancestral pain that has come in through them, through the values that they've been taught. And we know they've been working through that. But there's a lot of resistance to let things end the way that things have been and let things change into something new, which we know that that's kind of what needs to happen in this situation. There's a transformation that needs to occur, but for some reason, they are putting off that transformation, or they are not especially encouraging that transformation. It looks to me like it's because they feel like they don't deserve it. They know that they've done something here that has made you. I'm looking for like the Six of Pentacles in the reverse here, because it's I didn't treat you well. I didn't do the right things, and now I regret it. It's that feeling of definite regretting it and not feeling. That's what the Death card in the reverse and the King of Coins in the reverse are sounding like to me. It feels like, rather, it feels like regret that they made the wrong choices and now they don't deserve what is essentially their happiness and their wish fulfillment. So instead of you're when you give them then the unconditional love, instead of meeting it with unconditional love with this Queen of Cups in reverse, they're meeting it with something that feels a little more codependent. So when they see something that really, like that Ten of Cups that we see, I can feel it in here, when they get that sense of actually encountering their wish fulfillment, which feels like a dream come true to them, they fold a little bit. They fold, they buckle, they run. That's the sense of this Queen of Cups, and getting that that feeling of really, it's got a heavy codependent feel to it, but it also has a lot of the characteristics of the narcissist fall into this as well. So they have a strong draw toward you, though. There is that destiny sense. There's that destiny, but this is so custom tailored for them to make this growth in this relationship by these means. They are having a really hard time fitting into that. And actually, part of the problem is they have a very hard time with that type of authority, which I'm getting a little bit here with the Hierophant and a little bit here with the Death card in reverse. But feeling like they're almost feeling like they can escape this a little bit by utilizing that lovers, that energy of, I'm doing the dreams, I'm doing the fantasy, so at least I can take the pressure off a little bit. But it backfires a little because they have a hard time figuring out where one begins and the other ends. So now let's look to see what's happening with you, and basically, what can you be focusing on, as we typically like to look at? This is the part that's about you. For those of you who fast forward to this part because you're done thinking about your person, this is the part where focusing on what else is on the table. That's really the question I'm asking. So based on what we see here, where is your area of focus going forward? And this is an important thing, because even when your person, I mean, we get time and time again, your person is going to work through some things, you're going to work through some things, and some of it has to happen in separation. So a lot of times, like now, we're seeing what's happening with your person. And honestly, I'm looking at this and I would like to dive deeper into it when we get into the extended here. Um, We've got the Justice card in the reverse, the Strength card in the reverse. This is all Major Arcana. Major Arcana, remember, those are the big patterns within your life, the big things that really matter. Minor Arcana, Nine of Swords in the reverse, still a really great card to have there because it's the sense of, once again, and I think we saw it come out like this yesterday, it's a feeling of anxiety or lack of anxiety in a place that would once have caused anxiety. That's what I feel like here with the Nine of Swords. With the reversed Justice card and the Strength card, I feel like there's a lot of fear that comes to the fore here. You're given an opportunity to deal with, and that is probably the most important message happening here. And then we have with the Justice card in the reverse, it's this is that I know I need to get something right, but feeling like you can't beat the clock. Take some time to breathe. You're not necessarily going to be able to beat the clock, and you don't have to make everything right immediately. That's one of those things that you may continue to have to tell yourself. You seem like you'll be really resistant to leaving things kind of hanging, but it also seems like you're also going to be more able to do whatever you have to do and face these fears with a little bit less anxiety. It's a good time for you to be facing fears right now, I guess I would say. And in light of what's happening with your person, it feels like both your souls are kind of opening up a little bit. I don't know what that means for vulnerability on either side. I think vulnerability on their side, yeah, it's been one of their lessons. And so it seems particularly closed. It doesn't feel like in this energy. And that's one of the things that I think we'll feel for in the extended. But it doesn't really feel for like they're going more vulnerable at this time. So we have a Ten of Wands in reverse. You're about to figure out what's your problem and what's not. So this is perspective shifting as a result of something in your life giving you a different perspective. So you're going to run across a story. It doesn't even have to be happening to you. You're going to run across some kind of story that says, wow, I just realized how important or unimportant something is. And it's going to be something related to this relationship. You're either going to realize it's not huge in the big scheme of things, or it's bigger than you thought. And it helps to kind of right size things. And that's what gives you the new perspective. We have the Eight of Swords in the reverse. You're not afraid to think about it. You're not in a prison with this in a way that maybe you once were. I get just like this Nine of Swords. This is something that is an improvement over what we've seen in the past. You've got a Seven of Cups in the reverse. So this is telling me you've got a lot of opportunities, but you have no idea which way to go because the opportunities aren't very well defined, aren't very well lit. And it's kind of like having, that dark room where there's a bunch of furniture in there, but you don't exactly know where it is. You've got to open yourself up to be able to see or to be able to take in, I guess, whatever the information is that's around you. It's going to help you to navigate that room, because right now there's a sense of I'm not feeling like I'm in balance. There's a lot of fear that's trying to win out. I want to make things right. I'm figuring out what is actually important and what's not. I've got a level head about the situation, but I got no idea which way to go. So be listening for that guidance. This is, again, a time for meditation. It's a time for getting some breathing in, time for getting some meditation in, and you're going to be confronting some fears. So definitely getting that breathing in and allowing that to help establish the balance. Breath is how you communicate with the body. I'm not kidding. This is seriously the most reliable way that I know to. It's how I quell. So I get anxiety attacks. Little fun fact about me: I get anxiety attacks, but I'm not really a high anxiety person. I'm usually that Nine of Swords in the reverse, Eight of Swords in the reverse. Like I've got this, but in the background, there's sometimes a lot more going on, just like there is with a lot of people who feel like they mostly got it. And so those anxiety attacks, the only thing that gets me through it easily is solid breathing. And I will tell you that only started to work for me after several months of doing daily meditation and breathing. So highly recommend it. It really shortens the whole anxiety attack. And just that's like a commercial for breathing for you right there. I could do so many of those. But it's one of those ones that seems near and dear to me. And in this energy, it feels like it might be useful because there's a little bit of anxiety to work through, but it seems like you do work through it. So here's that Six of Coins. I'm glad they reserved it for here because this is the feeling of you not accepting anything that doesn't pay you what you're worth, or doesn't give you what you're worth. It's a very good feeling of knowing in yourself that you could walk away if you're not being given what is being given to you. But you also have, here's this sense of change. Here are things that are changing. Here are some very important things that are happening in your psyche that you have to take the time with. You have to take the time to get used to the concepts that are changing there, and you have to kind of allow yourself, oh, these aren't part of it. You have to kind of allow yourself to take in the new information that's coming. Because with this Page of Coins, it's a sense of, you might gloss over some of it thinking, oh yes, these are familiar lessons. So there's more in here in this transformation for you to recognize and to get out of it. So just wanting to let you know, as you're thinking this through, it's not so much, this isn't like the Ace of Swords in the reverse where you're not paying attention to what you need to be paying attention to. This is just, hey, be careful, you might miss something. This doesn't seem ego driven. It just seems like it's easy to miss. What fell? These cards that fall, sometimes when they fall face up, I'll take them. I saw a Five of Cups come out, and it kind of had that, hey, be careful, be sure not to focus on solely on the negative. Like, make sure that you look at the big full perspective rather than just seeing the negative in a situation. What part of this has gone right? You see a situation that has tough resources. Well, what resources do you have that you can be thankful for? Little things like that. You've got the Justice card, a tendency to want to make things right. But this card is more than just a tendency to want to make things right. That tendency to want to make things right shows up over here in this Justice in reverse and says that they're not balanced now. Here, this is saying, no brainer, you're going to do it. You're going to make sure everything falls in a way that if it doesn't land where you want it to land, you're going to make an adjustment. It's that sort of energy. You are incredibly accommodating, capable. It's beautiful energy, and it's where you are right now. So your focus is on cultivating that, breathing into that, letting yourself see where places are that you're facing fears. This is not a perfect time. Things are not perfect. You're getting perspective. That's usually uncomfortable. You're in change, also usually uncomfortable. Establishing balance where there once was none, also challenging, but I see you coming through this fairly well, fairly easily. Trick is to keep going, make a little bit of progress every day, because this Knight of Coins in the reverse says that you threaten to calm down and kind of not be able to move through things and to let the motivation kind of fall by the wayside. It's possible this can happen. Don't freak out if you end up with a setback. This is all about keep moving forward, even if it is at a snail's pace. It's still important to continue moving a step forward. So that's the messages that wanted to come out for you. We're going to get into the extended now, and we're going to look a little bit more deeply into what we've seen here in this reading. I think, though, one of the things that we need to take a closer look at, and I like what I stumbled upon yesterday in the thank you reading. I picked a couple of cards out of the reading that came out and said, let's dive deeper into those when we get into the extended. One of the things that I would like to do is, again, dig a little bit more deeply into those. So what I'd like to do is, first off, look into this Five of Pentacles. So this is the healing that they're bringing into the situation, but that they're associating with you. So this is about you. It's how they feel about you. So we're going to look at that. Another thing that I'd like for us to look at is this Ace of Swords that came out here in the reverse, and the Lovers that came out in the reverse. So just kind of to get a feel for a little bit more deeply what's happening with these things. This is where we're going to start. I don't know. We might get into something a little bit more after that, but that's what we're going to do when we get into the extended. So we're going to pull on those and see what else we can learn, specifically going a little bit deeper on those concepts. So we'll do that in the extended. The link is down below if you're interested in joining me there. I look forward to seeing you. Otherwise, I will see you again in tomorrow's reading.